I'm Ayako Sekiguchi from Wellness Kitchen. This time I'd like to make a quick kimchi using soft spring cabbage leaves, which are in season now and haven't been harvested many times yet, and fresh new onions. When you think of kimchi, you usually think of, we usually use Chinese cabbage or daikon radish, but actually you can make it with almost any kind of vegetable. This time I'll use fresh, juicy spring vegetables. That way, you can enjoy a different and unique deliciousness, which is what I think kimchi is all about. You might think that kimchi requires a lot of ingredients and is complicated to make, but this time I want to make the base of kimchi with just 4 ingredients. Once you have the kimchi base ready, you can simply mix it with your favorite vegetables, and that's all you need for the best kimchi. Authentic kimchi is made by fermenting vegetables with lactic acid bacteria, but this time, since we're making a quick version, you can eat it right away after making it. Leaving it out for a while may cause it to naturally ferment. Even with this quick kimchi style, if you leave it for a while, it will naturally start to ferment, but you can eat it all up before that happens. It's really convenient and can be used in many different ways. Please watch until the end to see all the ingredients for kimchi. This time, I'm making kimchi, spring cabbage kimchi and also fresh onion kimchi. I'd like to introduce these 2 types. It's just onion and cabbage, so it might not seem very special. They're in the refrigerator. If you want to add a bit of color with whatever vegetables you have, you can add carrots or maybe some komatsuna. Adding a bit of color makes it look nicer, so I think I'll try that. Or if you use greens like spinach or Chinese cabbage, it will look even more authentic. I also think I'll add a little bit of dried daikon radish for extra flavor. Dried daikon is sweet and gives the dish more depth, so just adding a bit can make it taste even better. Of course, you don't have to use it if you don't want to. Let's start by preparing the ingredients and getting them ready. We'll start with the cabbage. Remove the core and cut the cabbage into thin slices. For spring cabbage, peel off about 3 outer leaves and wash them thoroughly. For the inner part, wash the whole thing with water and then cut it well. Cut the cabbage into rough pieces and separate it into leaves and stems. Add 1 small green onion and chop it finely. Using a plastic bag for this process proved to be quite convenient. This time I'm using a bowl for better visibility, but a plastic bag or something similar also works fine. It's cabbage. If you sprinkle salt evenly so that it covers everything, the moisture will naturally come out. But if you're in a hurry, using a plastic bag will help speed up the process. Try to squeeze out a little bit of air and press down on the cabbage. Even if you just gently press down on the cabbage like this, the moisture will naturally come out and it will become tender. This time, I still have to cut up some other vegetables. Since I have some work to do, I'll leave this as it is for a little while. Let's continue. This is the new onion. Since new onions can be eaten raw, I want to keep them as fresh as possible and enjoy their natural flavor. I peeled the thin skin off the new onion. Remove the core part at the root and set it aside. Since it's a new onion, it's a bit large. Cut it into slightly larger pieces, about 7 to 5/16 of an inch wide. Since it's corn and there's not much to measure, just sprinkle about 2/3 of a small pinch of salt and set it aside. If you spread everything out and let it sit without piling it up and put it in a bag like you do with cabbage, the water will come out faster. Remove as much air as possible, and like with the cabbage, let it sit for a while. While the cabbage and new onions are being salted, I wanted to add a little color and extra flavor. So this time, I'm using vegetables like these. I like to go ahead and cut them up now. Next is kiriboshi daikon. Kiriboshi daikon has a sweet and unique flavor, so I usually use it as is. But if you're concerned about the smell, you can rinse it quickly with water, squeeze it out, and then use it. If you soak it in water for too long, the unique flavor will be lost, so try not to leave it in water for too long. This is thinly sliced dried daikon. Cut it into about 1 centimeter pieces. And then we have carrots. To bring out their color nicely, I like to add a little bit of kimchi juice from the cabbage kimchi. You can adjust the amount to your liking. And I also want to add some greens, so this time I'll use some chives I had in the fridge. Green onions or Chinese chives can also be used. Alright then, let's put the chicken breast and the green onions together in the bag in a single layer. This is komatsu greens and this is carrot. Add soy sauce to this paper, then mix everything together so it blends well with the vegetables. Using a larger plastic bag makes mixing easier. For the tamagoyaki, I'd like to include some dried daikon radish. This is really just up to your preference. This time I'm using new onions, but you can also add daikon radish or cucumbers, or even just serve it as is. You can freely arrange the types of vegetables however you like. That's how it feels. So I'd like to make the base for the kimchi now. Just looking at these ingredients, you might wonder what you can actually make with them, but this time the only special ingredients I used were miso, dried plums, and dried shiitake mushrooms. With just these, you can make a delicious kimchi base. Making miso yourself allows you to select your preferred ingredients, which is quite nice, don't you think? This time I want to use miso that not only tastes good, but also contains simple, healthy ingredients. That's why I'm using umeboshi. For the umeboshi, I want to use one that's more on the sour and salty side, rather than a sweet type if possible, because it adds a nice accent. It's better to choose umeboshi that has a refreshing sour taste, as it will make the dish more delicious. Domestic powdered tangy plums are mildly tart, with a touch of sweetness and a unique flavor. I recommend them, but it's okay if you can't find them. In that case, you can substitute with ichimi togarashi. If you use ichimi togarashi, the spiciness is much stronger, so please adjust the amount and try it out. Now, all you have to do is mix these ingredients together. This is umeboshi. Remove the pit from the umeboshi, then mash it and set it aside. Mash the umeboshi into a paste. This is seasoning. It's tanyuko powder and it smells really good. It's honey. This time I'm making kimchi with fresh corn and cabbage. The amount will vary depending on the two types, so it may end up being a lot, but that's just how it is. It keeps well, so if you have any left over, you can easily mix it with other vegetables or use it as a topping. That's why I recommend making a lot and keeping it stocked up. If you store it in the refrigerator, it will last for about a month without any problems. You can store it without any issues, so please try it with various vegetables. Yes, Miss Minna, I don't think you can really imagine the taste, but even so, this completes the base for kimchi. From here, I would like to finish it by combining it with the vegetables you have prepared in advance. First, with the cabbage, it's fine if it doesn't come together perfectly. It feels like everything has blended together nicely now. It only took a moment, didn't it? I think it's soft enough now. In just that short time, the cabbage has wilted nicely. This is for one serving this time, just for one portion of cabbage. Since it's just a small amount, you can use it as is. Of course, you can adjust the amount as needed. If you think the saltiness is too strong, you can rinse it a little to remove some of the salt. Even if you do that, it will still be fine. Please adjust it to your preferred taste. Se is the basic ingredient for kimchi, and I'm adding it here. Depending on the amount of vegetables, you can adjust how much you add or dilute it, so please adjust it to your liking. For this amount, about half of this kimchi base should be enough. Now just mix it well inside the bag. You know, I thought making authentic kimchi would be really hard, but it turns out it's not that difficult. And with this method, you can just make as much as you want to eat whenever you want. It's really easy, and even if you put it in the fridge, the smell doesn't bother you that much, so I really recommend it. Once everything is mixed together, it's done. Now I'd like to show you how to prepare the corn as well. For the onion, since there's not much less than the cabbage, if you can't quite get it right, I think you should add some of the kimchi base. This time, both the cabbage and the onion don't seem to release much water, so I'm using them as they are. But if a lot of water does come out, please drain some of it. This is kimchi base, and since it's a paste, it's better if there's not too much moisture so it mixes well. I think it's best to have just the right amount of moisture. The onion kimchi will also be ready in no time. While waiting, I'd like to taste the simple spring cabbage kimchi I just made. You can enjoy the taste of kimchi with peace of mind, and it's really delicious. Since it's spring cabbage, it doesn't have that crunchy texture like Napa cabbage kimchi, but it's really tender and delicious with the natural sweetness of the vegetables coming through. It really feels like a salad. Now I want to try adding some onions as well. Since it's fresh onions, the flavor is mild, so it's totally fine to eat them raw. It really feels like my blood is becoming more refreshed and lively. I think it's great that you can try this with really healthy and various vegetables you like, so please enjoy it with your favorite arrangement. I presented a quick and easy spring vegetable dish with kimchi flavors that you can make and serve immediately. With a lightly pickled taste, just mix it with your favorite vegetables. That's why it's really simple. The kimchi base I introduced this time is plain, but you can use it in a variety of dishes. Just add some sesame oil and it instantly becomes a naman-style dish. It's really delicious too. You can also use it as a seasoning for stir-fried dishes and it tastes really great. Mentaiko is also excellent as a hidden flavor in chahan, fried rice, or yakisoba. I highly recommend making a batch and using it in various dishes. Thank you so much for watching until the end. I really appreciate it, and I hope to see you again in another video. Thank you very much for watching.